I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Killing Eve Aftershow on AfterBuzz TV. This is season 3, episode 4, appropriately titled Still Got It. We have a lot to discuss, so much. Everyone knows I'm a Niko fan, so there's a lot to say. But first, I'm Mia. I'm a murder mystery and thriller super fan, so that's who I am. Of course, we're here with Erika, our resident baddie. What's up, Erika?
What's up, party people? Hey, you guys.
Yes, so excited to be here. So, Erika, what are your overall thoughts about this episode? Because a lot went down.
I liked this episode a lot. It was sort of a slower paced episode, I guess, but I think they did a lot with the story, so I liked it. I enjoyed it. How about you?
That's good. That's really good. Yeah. Two things for me. First, I went on last week, actually. I know you're doing the live chat. I went on to look at all the comments that everybody left last week. And I have to say, we have some incredible viewers out there. You guys are awesome. I love seeing your predictions and your thoughts. And I loved what Heather Lamb said this, and I thought this was really cool to point out. She said, so far in the season, I feel like we're seeing an arrogance in Eve that rivals Villanelle's arrogance. I thought that was a really good point. And then Missy S. Masad said, because we were talking about the buses, remember, Erika, about the UK buses with the kiss? And she said, I'm in the UK, trust a bus would have stopped and the police would have come because every bus has CCTV. So good thing we have our fans out there watching for us.
Indeed.
So good. And then also, this is my second thing before we move on. So a little surprise. So I watched the show with my boyfriend, right? And he wanted me to mention to you guys tonight because I did not realize this. So I went to London in February for the first time ever. And I brought back this little magnet. This is London, and it's a double-decker bus. And after the episode, after we finished, he went to the fridge and he was like, oh my gosh, do you realize you literally have a Konstantin magnet on the fridge? And I was like, oh my gosh, he's listening. Just a fun little story for you guys. Just remember, not to have London magnets on your fridge. Everything's cool. So first things first, we see our guy Niko go home. This is a painful one to discuss. So Erika, what were your thoughts on the scene? Of course, before we see the ending of the whole episode, and then also now that you have seen it, just what is everything that was going through your mind the first time you watched it?
Interesting to see Niko sort of in this country setting, kind of getting away from everything. So I thought it was interesting the way it was set up. And I definitely feel like I didn't really think he was sending those text messages to Villanelle because he didn't seem like he was at that space. So it was interesting how they, showed us kind of what happened. But yeah, I liked kind of how they set things up with him and we get an idea of kind of what he's doing, in Poland. So that was cool.
Yeah, that was super cool. All I have to say is you know how I feel about Niko. I know not everybody agrees. I loved him. Yes, past tense. But I was just so excited they started the episode with him. I was like, yes, Niko's going to get the justice he deserves. Give this man a full episode. That's where I thought it was going. Of course, clearly not where it ended. But and it's so funny you say that. Clearly, you're smarter because I saw that it was like I was excited. I was like, oh my gosh. And in my head, I was like, you're right. Like, he's not in the right mental space to be like, Eve, come back, all that stuff. He basically hated her last time they talked and didn't tell her that he was checking out of the ward. But I was like, wow, he's coming around because I loved seeing him in like season 1, not so much season 2, but just the love he had for Eve and how supportive he was, other than the fact that like, it was a dangerous job. That was when he started kind of being like, okay, like, what are you doing? What's going on? But this is the thing. Like, I'm all for an independent woman being in love and following her dreams. But in a partnership, you cannot lie, especially about killing people. So Eve knows this. She talks about this episode. I'm like, thank God she realizes this. But anyways, I had no idea anything was up. So the end was definitely shocking for me. But next thing we see Eve waking up in this office that she's been working at. And I thought it was definitely an interesting juxtaposition because we see kind of Niko making himself at home, coming back, just being, a popular guy, but just like, on his stomping grounds. He's doing good. getting himself back together. And then we see like Eve air drying her BO, which I thought was so funny. So in her eye was still like clearly bruised. I was like, oh, this girl is a hot mess. So what do you think about Eve in that scene? And also the present that she gets for her birthday.
It was interesting. Like, I didn't understand why, like, she has a place. So I didn't get what was so urgent where she had to like sleep there or whatever. But maybe she didn't feel safe in her own apartment, I guess. So that was one thing I thought that was interesting because I wasn't sure why she really actually had to sleep there. So that part I still wasn't sure at the end. Like, okay, why does she have to sleep at the office? But otherwise, yeah, I thought it was really interesting to see how, like there's always that person who sleeps at the office and they think that nobody knows, and really everybody at the office knows. Nobody's saying anything. So I thought kind of how they played that was really interesting, for sure.
I love that. How you said there's always that one person who sleeps in the office. That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That girl's up to. You're right. I didn't think about that. Why is it so urgent that she couldn't sleep at home? Very good point. If you guys know out in the chat or you have any observations, let us know.
I mean, I think maybe she didn't feel safe, I guess, because she knew obviously that Villanelle had been there, or, maybe she wasn't happy at her place, or, she just wants to feel like she's working so hard. I don't know. But that part where I was like, okay, she doesn't have to sleep there, like, really. So.
Eve, get yourself together, girl. So, Erika, what did you think about that present, that double-decker present?
That was funny and cute. And it was interesting how upset she got by it and how she just wouldn't, it was a fun scene, I think, because she was so, sort of angry, but then, obviously flattered that she got something for her birthday. So,
yeah. Because all I was thinking was Niko didn't say happy birthday. He's out here texting her. He didn't say anything, but clearly it wasn't Niko.
That's true. I didn't think about that, but that's a good point. Yeah.
I was like, dang. I was like, maybe he's being spiteful. I don't know, but I don't know. It was fun. Like, I liked the reaction. I did love Sandra Oh's acting and how you see her like, she's like, oh, because she knows who it's from, and then she's kind of like angry and she goes to that space. But funny enough, listen. I love drama, all right, especially in TV shows. But I thought this scene was a little too dramatic for me, actually. Like with the cake and throwing it over the edge, I was like, please, I'm so tired of this. Like, is this going to happen every time whenever she gets a present from her or like she sends something to Villanelle? Like, is this what's going to happen every time? And I just don't know. Could you imagine literally every time you get a cake from your girlfriend or your boyfriend and you're just scared to open it? But I do have to say Villanelle is good at gifts. I mean, I thought that was a really beautiful cake. So
yeah, I thought the cake was super cute. And yeah, it was interesting. Like, yeah, like I don't think she was afraid to open it, but I feel like she just,
she was afraid to open her emotions. She was afraid of that Pandora's box, not so much the present. That's a good point.
Exactly. So, or I think she just didn't want to open it in front of others, really. Yeah. I feel like she already knew it was from Villanelle. And, like, I don't think she was that sort of freaked out by it, but just it's interesting to see how she's still carrying, I guess, so much anger or whatever. So,
yeah, you're so right. Totally agree there. So next, in the next scene, we see that clearly, hello, it's Eve's birthday. So she spends it with Jamie, kind of takes pity on her. And we finally know his name because I know for the first like 3 episodes he was in. We were like, do they ever say his name? What's his name? But how are we liking Jamie? And how did we like this scene?
See them interact, and I'm definitely enjoying kind of how they're growing, I guess, as a team, etc. So that part is cool.
Yes, I totally agree. So one thing that I liked about the scene, I actually really like the scene. So I think that them going back and forth was like one of the most true and genuine interactions and moments that touched me in a while. Like I think there's a lot of like dramatic flares going on. So I think that this was like really down to earth and how they went back and forth and like tried to outdo one another, or at least share some dark things they've gone through. And I think this is going to open up a new level with them in their relationship between him and her, about how much they'll reveal to each other, because I definitely think there was a wall before. And the first thing that did cross my mind was, okay, wait, are they about to hook up? What's going on? So as you know, we stand writers, producers, executive producers, Sandra Oh, like if you're watching this, we want it to happen. We love it. But I did like what he said when he said, you're like a sad teenager waiting for a like on Instagram. It's true. I'm like, y'all are grown women. If you like each other, if you don't, just like say something. I don't know, but you know, it wouldn't be a TV show. So it looks like we have some chats in some comments in the chat. Erika, do you want to read them?
Yeah, I just pulled the chat up a second ago. So, okay, tailored is not what I wanted. I wanted Niko to be a spy, not to be murdered, even though he does bore me. So just so that you know, I'm not out here trying to kill Niko. Even I don't want Niko to have a painful death, even though, you know, yeah, he did add much to the storyline, but I did not want him to go so painfully. I will say that. So shout out to Tailored. And then ER's grandpa, shout out to you. ER's grandpa says it seemed like she thought she knew that it was from Villanelle. Speaking of Eve and the gift, and he says it seemed like she thought it might explode, so she opened it on the roof because she knew who sent it. And I thought she went to the roof more so like for privacy, but I agree, maybe it could explode too as well. That's a good point. Let's see, hold on.
On the roof, girl, it's still gonna explode on the building.
I know, right? Exactly. But I see what they're saying. I felt like she didn't want anybody watching her get all mad and upset. But
the emotional explosion.
Right, exactly. But I agree. It probably could have exploded. You know, Villanelle's not above bombing. And yeah. So shout out to ER's grandpa. Shout out to Taylor. I know we got started a little late, but thank you guys for joining us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, we love to see everything you guys have to say. So thank you so much for tuning in, and keep all your opinions going in the chat. We love it. We love when you guys talk to each other too. It's really, really cool. And I definitely look back at it every week, and I'm sure Erika, Delia do too. So yeah, keep that up. Sure. So next, we're gonna hop on over to Konstantin. So he's at the wife's house of the man that Villanelle shot through the window in the car last week. So Erika, what were your thoughts on this scene? Like when it first started, did you know why he was there? And by the end of it, what were you thinking about what was gonna pan out?
It was just sort of, I don't know, it was kind of like a filler scene. I felt like it did give you some information in reference to the fact that, you know, his wife seemed so, I guess his wife had no idea what he was into. So in that respect, I think it was interesting. Also, I didn't understand why she was like so confused or whatever that she hadn't sent it to the person that he told her to. So that part seemed a little like convenient or whatever. So, you know, it was interesting, I guess.
That's exactly how I felt, Erika. I was so bored. And I just have to be honest. I find myself so bored in Konstantin's scenes. Unless Villanelle is there, like best scenes ever with him and Villanelle, I'm just like bored. I'm like, what's going on? But I know they're important, and I just feel like eventually those scenes are all going to add up. Like the filler scenes have to be intentional. By the end, they're all going to mean something. But right now, every time I see him, I'm just so bored with his presence. But speaking of that, scenes with him and Villanelle in the gondola, I think it was a gondola, you know, she's hopping up and down, and then she's finishing his words, beating him to what he's going to say. So I don't know. I just love this dynamic between the two of them. And I know we talked about that in previous episodes. But I definitely, I don't know. I seem to like those better too than the scenes with Doshka and Villanelle. Like I know it's like a mom-dad dynamic, but and they both serve their purposes, but I just love watching and Konstantin on the screen. So what did you think about their back and forth in this scene, Konstantin and Villanelle?
I think it's really exciting and interesting to watch their play, because even though obviously he loves his daughter, it seems like he has more of a father feeling towards Villanelle than he does really for his daughter when they show, so when they show scenes of Konstantin with his real daughter and Konstantin with Villanelle, it seems like he has a closer bond with Villanelle, I guess, because they both know, I guess everything about each other's more or less. So yeah, I think their scenes together are fun, and I think she does have an affinity for Konstantin that she does not still have for Doshka. So it is interesting to see them kind of interplay.
That's so true. And to be honest, I'm like, oh yeah, he met up with his daughter. See all the scenes with them. I'm just like, what? With Konstantin? I'm like, oh yes, that. But his daughter is fun. Like I do hope to see him and his actual daughter have more scenes because I thought that was fun too. Clearly it's different, like you said, than Villanelle and him, which is more playful, but it is fun to see her sassy, savvy kind of low-key attitude. It's really fun. So I wonder if she'll make any more appearances. That could be pretty cool. Maybe a prediction. But the first kill scene in this episode, which was already enough, way more than I wanted. To me, this was probably the best scene in the episode. I really enjoyed it, but it was, I don't know, it was painful to watch. But it was also like fun too, to see them like chasing each other in the garden. So what did you think about this scene? And also another thing too is I love that at one point when she was like, confiding in Villanelle, the lady, she was like, talking about her husband being dead, yada, yada, yada. And she says, and Villanelle says, but you're free now. Like, why are you upset? And she goes, I don't want to be free. I want a family. And then like falls into her and starts crying. And you could tell, like, sometimes they'll plant these moments in these episodes where I think it's just a moment for Villanelle to really think, even though she's a psychopath, sociopath, whatever. But did you think that moment when she said that had any symbolism? And then how did you feel throughout that entire scene? What was that like?
It was interesting. I did feel like, they gave you that moment where Villanelle was probably feeling the same way this woman was, like, I want a family. And we know Villanelle is searching for her family now. So I think it was interesting the way they shot it, where, Villanelle, and you kind of see this when she's with Felix too, like she'll have these moments with people where it really kind of shows her doing some sort of self-reflection, but it still doesn't take away from the job that she's doing, or, the fact that she's still going to kill the person. But she does have these sort of self-reflective moments where it seems as if she's really thinking about what's going on in her life, as well as, whatever she's talking to with the person.
Yeah. And it's so crazy, Erika, because every time I see a scene like this, it's like they have it, like you said, with Felix, the boy in the hospital last season, like every time what's going to happen, ship or friendship together. And then you're just like, maybe she won't kill them this time. And then she does. And this time, going into this scene, I was like, I know she's there to kill her. She's going to kill her. But then I started thinking, okay, yeah, they're going back and forth. They're doing roars at each other. But I was like, when's it going to happen? And then when she put the scissors down, I was like, she's still going to find a way to kill her. But there was a moment again, this show still manages every time in the middle of one of these scenes. I'm like, oh, she's not going to kill her. Actually, this might be the one time. Like, do you think there will ever be a time on the show where there's a kill and Villanelle actually doesn't kill the person? Like whether she's sent, she does it on her own and she's just being messy. Do you think there will ever be a scene where she's like, no, I actually am going to opt out of this. I'm not going to do it.
I thought there was a scene in, I don't know, was it season 2 or whatever, when Villanelle, I think, or did she kill him? I don't know. Remember that scene where she's in the hospital and she's talking to the little kid?
She snaps his neck.
Oh, did she end up killing him?
Yes, she killed him. And then she ran out, remember? And then she did that. She got in the little hospital thing and rolled away and was like, I need a minute. And the security guard was like, okay. I was like, no. Okay. See, every time, right? Like, we're literally like, wait, she let him go, right? Because we see this moment and we think it's going to be okay, and then it's not. So, I don't know. You guys let us know in the comments if you think she'll ever.
There's a time. I feel like there was a time where she didn't kill the person, but I can't think of it at the moment. So maybe she hasn't. But, yeah, I mean, I think eventually there will come a time where she won't kill the person. But, I don't know. I have to give it more thought. I thought she didn't kill somebody, but maybe she killed everybody.
Right. I'm telling you. I'm like, please let there be one. Let there be one. Okay. So Carolyn, finally, she comes up in the episode. We're about who knows how long in. She finally makes her appearance and she's back with her daughter. So clearly we know last week she almost got shot in the head. She didn't, but she came home with the blood. Her daughter consoled her, all this good stuff. But it's just so complex with Carolyn, and it just keeps happening and happening where I think like the mom's not giving anything and then her daughter comes and is trying to pull something out of her. But this is like a real breakdown with her daughter, literally like on her knees, like, Mom, like you won't even say his name. I'm worried about you. You're just going straight upstairs. So what do we think about this emotional situation with her daughter? Because we've talked about it, you know, how it's okay for people to handle grief differently and everyone's going to cope differently. But what happens when you're the mother to someone and they're also mourning that grief? Like, do we think she's being a good enough mother? I mean, it's not our place to judge, but like, what do we think she's offering? Like, she can cope differently, but is she offering what she needs to her daughter?
I don't think so. But then I feel like, I don't think Carolyn, invited her daughter to live there either. You know what I'm saying? I feel like her daughter decided to stay there and help her during this time of grief or whatever. So, you know, there has to be some give and take because they do, I think, grieve differently. So yeah. And then excuse me, you guys, I'm sorry if you hear in the background, like there's an ice cream truck here. It's like,
yes.
Oh, my bad.
Wow, I'm inspired to write a spec episode for Killing Eve. There's an ice cream truck and Villanelle comes and I don't know what's next. Erika, you're the real writer here, so.
I know, right? She poisons one of those red, white, and blue like popsicles that I love, but yes.
Quick on her feet.
Exactly.
I know, now I'm like, I really want ice cream, oh my gosh. So also, one thing that she said, I don't know if you don't have to have a comment on this, but one thing Carolyn did say to her daughter was like, I'm actually doing more than you know to help Kenny. She didn't say his name because she doesn't say his name. But what did you think about this? I was like, you're doing more than you know. I was like, no, you aren't. Are you? I mean, you're investigating his death, but like, is that more than you know? What did you think about that comment?
I think she did mean it in that she's investigating his death or, you know, kind of the work that she's doing with Eve more than anything. Because I think, you know, that's sort of her undercover sort of connection. So I do feel like that is actually true. So, you know, so and I think that, you know, because of her position, there's certain things she just couldn't do publicly for Kenny, since supposedly Kenny committed suicide. So, so it was an interesting kind of moment, I guess, there with her daughter.
Yeah, very, very true. So now we're moving into the juicy scenes, which I loved, which is the end of this episode. I think it really picked up because, like you said, it's kind of slow moving. They always kind of are in the beginning, but then they really pick up towards the end. So we don't know her name, I don't think, but I'm going to call her 12 Lady. So we see Doshka meets. So we meet one of, we're thinking maybe the 12 or she works for the 12. We don't know, but she comes and tells Doshka, interrupts her swim session and tells her, you need to drive a wedge between Villanelle and Eve. And I was like, phew, but I want more of this. I want to meet the 12. I want to see this. I love this lady. I want to see her again. I thought she was a great actress. And I also love that Doshka looked scared of her. Like Doshka was genuinely scared of this dream. She was like sitting with her, or maybe she was just cold from getting in the pool. I don't know. She was sitting there in her towel or whatever. And she was just kind of like, hey, like when she sat down. So what did you think of this scene?
I really thought it was interesting because I think she dropped a lot of interesting sort of dynamics because like one, this woman seemed like her whole accent, like was she British, was she Russian, you know, like what's sort of her background, where is she really in the whole hierarchy of the 12. So I thought that was interesting. Also, I think the idea that killing Eve would cause too many problems does kind of make you wonder, okay, so the 12, while not, you know, kind of like what I've always thought is that, you know, that it might have ties to the MI6 as well as whatever's going on in Russia. So it just seems like, you know, kind of that same question is, does everybody really have the same boss in the end? So yeah, it was interesting.
True. Oh my gosh. And now I'm starting to think, I'm like, is Konstantin part? Like, I keep going in and out of, I know he's not related to the scene, but I keep thinking, like, is he with the 12 or not? Like, I don't know. And it's also fun to see the dynamic too, where everyone has a boss, right? So just when we think we meet someone who's kind of the boss, like, I feel like in the first season, of course, like we think Konstantin's the boss, and then you get Doshka and you realize, and then we meet this woman from the 12, and it's just like every time you think someone is a boss or is like kind of like the puppeteer, there's someone above them. And that's also like a really cool dynamic to see this introduced. So I don't know. I really like it. But moving on to the scene that broke my heart. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this, Erika, because I know you could care less about Niko. But what was going through your mind in this scene? And do we think Niko, I shouldn't say do we think he deserved it, but it was a harsh way to die. What did you think about all this?
Yeah, it was a tough scene, I think, like you said, to watch. It was really kind of upsetting. It was, I think, surprising that, that was kind of the path that Doshka decided to go, as far as, driving a wedge between Eve and Villanelle. And I guess the question is, will that even really work? But yeah, it was tough to see, you finally get out there and think she has a chance, and then to watch him die like that. So that was an interesting and a tough scene to watch.
Yeah, for sure. The first time, because I know it loops back to it. We kind of see it from Eve's perspective, then we go back and see it from Niko and Dasha's perspective. But the first time at the very beginning, when we see Eve pull up, and then they're like, Niko, and he's off in the distance, and there's like a pause. I literally, because like I said, I watched this with my boyfriend, I literally looked at him and I go, oh my gosh, whew. I was sure he was about to get blasted into that scene, like killed, clearly. I thought they were going to like shoot him. But I was like, oh, he's about to get blasted. And he's like, oh, there's still time for that. And I was like, you're so right. Holy crap. But I don't know. I'm just mad. I'm like, stop killing my favorite characters like Kenny and now Niko. I mean, they're my favorite, but I feel for them. I feel like they're sweet people. And so it just makes me sad. But all right, gonna throw it over to you for our special segment. Erika, what do you have for us today?
Alrighty. Okay, and then before we do that, I guess shout out again to ER's grandpa and everybody in the chat. Thank you, ER's grandpa and Taylor, because they seem to be the ones chatting the most, and they love our idea of Villanelle selling ice cream. So we will have to write that. All right, let me see. Okay, our special segment here, Women Who Kill, I guess is the segment, right? That's what we'll call it. Let's see, hold on. Okay, so today we're talking about female, gangster assassins. So the person I'm speaking of today, the woman I'm speaking of, or really actually, I guess, more of a girl, Jakira Barnes. She's from my hometown, Chicago, and she's one of the most infamous female gang members in U.S. history. After amassing thousands of followers on social media, so she's a new, young, well, she was a new, young, and up-and-coming gang leader in Chicago. She was known as Young Killer after she was rumored to have killed her first person at the age of 14.
Oh my gosh.
And exactly. She rumored her, so it was rumored that she had her first murder at the age of 14. She was reportedly involved in up to 20 gangland deaths, amassing thousands of followers in social media, where she spoke about the deaths of friends and gang warfare. So she was kind of like, one of those gang leaders who also likes to tweet. Okay, so she's also known as Young Killer and Taekwondo assassin and Tukaville Kira. Unfortunately though, she was killed or murdered in April of 2014, where you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So she was shot dead, in April of 2014.
Wow.
6 years ago. So she was definitely, but even to this day, she's one of the most actually notorious and famous gang leaders, or gang assassins, I should say. So it was interesting, and also, I guess, sad as well, because she was only like 13 or 14 when she first, when she first was getting started. But I think she was only, I believe she was, let's see, she might have been 20, I think, at the time of her death. So she was still,
Oh my gosh.
She still, was still young and kind of just, living that crazy lifestyle of shooting and killing, but also talking about it on social media, which seem mutually exclusive, but obviously they are not. So Jakira Barr, she is our female assassin that we're spotlighting today, although she did actually pass away on April 10th, 2014.
Wow. A modern murderous story? It's like Chicago, the movie, but like set modern day. At 20, girl. That's hard.
They always kill me in the chat. So Grandpa says, gang killers who tweet.
Oh my God.
That should be the name of the show.
Wow. Okay. This is crazy. So thank you so much for sharing. Love that. Thank you, Grandpa. I love all your comments every single time. But okay, so we'll get to news and predictions, or news and gossip, next week. There wasn't that much this week, so we can just skip over it. But we'll go straight into predictions. Let's cue our prediction music.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV.
Okay, so predictions for me, I would say that I know when the 12 lady came, she said, or Doshka said they want to meet Villanelle. And so I'm thinking that maybe we'll get to meet the 12. And of course, last week I predicted that Villanelle was going to meet her family. So maybe it'll be like a meet the family. We'll meet 12, we'll meet her family. We'll see all of that. And then also, like I said, is a little bit of news and gossip, but a lot of gossip that was happening out on Twitter is people saying that Villanelle is going to find out, Eve's going to find out that Villanelle did not kill her husband because of the little note card that Doshka left. It had her fake handwriting on it. So I think that Eve is going to be smart enough to know that it wasn't actually Villanelle's handwriting. So that could actually be a thing that happens as she figures it out. So hopefully it won't tear them apart. We'll see. What do you think, Erika?
Let's see. So I agree. I think, let's see. What did they say in the chat? Someone brought that up in the chat that they said, okay. Oh no. ER's grandma says he thinks that Eve will think that the note is from Villanelle. I don't know. Like, I feel like initially she's going to be angry at Villanelle, but I think someone in the chat mentioned Eve and Villanelle teaming up by the end of the season, and I feel I do feel like that could probably happen. That seems like that could be a thing if they're united against a common enemy again. So I think that could be one thing. Let's see. The other thing I think is so Konstantin. So I'm pretty sure Konstantin is sleeping with the daughter. So that's what I think. Konstantin is sleeping with Carolyn's daughter.
Oh God.
And so so that's what Carolyn meant by, like, you don't tell me everything. Because why was Konstantin just walking in their neighborhood? So I definitely think that they're sleeping together. And I feel like when she broke down crying, it's because she feels guilty for sleeping with Konstantin, because she knows he slept with her mother back in the day.
Oh my God, I'm gonna throw up.
So that's one thing, but I do feel like somehow Konstantin is still sort of going to use Carolyn's daughter against her or whatever, outside of the London bus magnet. And that's it as far as that goes.
It's here. Gotta throw it out, y'all. All right, those were great predictions. Everybody out there, thank you so much for watching. Comment, subscribe, click that bell notification so you can see every time we have an after show. Thank you so much for being here. Again, Erika, where can they find you?
All right, you guys, you can follow me on all of my social media at Erika, E-R-I-K-A-D as in door, Edwards.
Yes, and you can find me on Twitter at Hot Mess Mia, on Instagram at yours truly Mia, and also on the Insecure AfterBuzz TV show. So thanks again, y'all. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.
All right, ciao for now, folks. Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.